If you'd like to introduce yourself.
I'm Kim Wachowski.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
I'm Anahi Interviews. My first question is, were you drafted or were you enlisted?
Enlisted. I was. They didn't have a draft. They had kind of a draft, but at the time that I started, the draft was over, and you had to assign yourself up for a draft, but there was no draft.
Is there any reason you decided to enlist, or was it just on a whim?
To get away, to do something for the country.
Which branch did you join and why?
I joined the Air Force, and the branch that I chose was because I wanted to work on airplanes.
Do you have a passion for airplanes?
Oh yes, I have a very big passion for airplanes.
Would you say that your time working in the force was enjoyable for the most part?
Working with the Air Force was very enjoyable. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Do you remember your boot camp experiences, and how did you cope?
Yes, I do remember my boot camp experiences. It's something that you never forget. Being away from home was a little bit lonely, but you get over that when you start getting into the military aspect of things. And it was very enjoyable after the first week.
Do you remember any specific memories that were particularly humorous or that you enjoyed from boot camp, or were you just...
Haircuts. The funniest thing in boot camp was haircuts, because you had people that came in with long hair, some people that weren't ready. I got a haircut before I left, so it was shorter, and some people cried when they got their hair cut off. So
any instructors or higher-ups that stick out to you in a positive or negative way?
As a matter of fact, I'm still friends with several instructors or higher-ups, NCOs that I was stationed with, and we're still friends on Facebook. Everybody sticks in you in a positive way. There's no negative aspects of anybody that I remember. It was good friends. It was a lot of fun.
Which war did you serve in?
I didn't serve in a war. I served during war. You have the Cold War, of course, which was between the Soviet Union and the United States, and I was part of Desert Shield / Desert Storm. But my airplanes that I was working on didn't go overseas. I had to work on other airplanes that were flying overseas.
So you yourself never went overseas, though?
Correct. Not for wartime.
Were you ever overseas at any point in time?
Yes, I was overseas in Germany for 4 years, and it was a beautiful time.
When you arrived at that location, what were your first thoughts?
Well, strange country, but you see a lot of strange things that you never see here in the United States, as in police with dogs and machine guns right when you get to the airport. A guy dressed in lederhosen that it's a throwback that you only saw in books and stuff like that. And I was kind of nervous at the time because we had just bombed Libya, and we had it's kind of my first experience on a plane with many cultures. And you tend to see these cultures and you're going, who's a terrorist, who's not a terrorist, and is somebody going to blow up the airplane? And that was my first flight overseas. But I took my family, and so it kept it very nice that way. And we enjoyed it being in Germany for 4 years.
Beautiful. What was your job assignments?
Well, my whole job assignment throughout the time I was in the military was an aircraft mechanic. And I did that for 11 years.
As you said previously, you made made many good friends. Are there any friends that you made over there that you don't particularly talk to but you have good memories with?
I've lost touch with several of them, several of the friends that I've made overseas as well as here in the States. But through Facebook, you connect with some of them, and that's how I've been doing it. And I've made other friends that were also stationed at places I was stationed at that I didn't know, and we've made friends that way. And but there's been a few that I've lost contact with that I wish I could get contact back again.
Oh, what's the most memorable experience that you can recall?
Most memorable? There's so many.
You can give a few if you'd like.
I mean, working on an airplane that was broken, to fix it and make it fly again, that's the most heartwarming thing. And seeing airplanes take off with a full load of weapons, it I don't know, it kind of puts a lump in your throat. At least it did for me, and made my pride just that much more.
So you felt, would you say, more full from your experience, like fulfilled, I would say?
Yes, I was more fulfilled from my experience in the military.
Did you receive any medals or citation? If so, how?
Yes, Air Force Accommodation Medal I received, Air Force Achievement Medal I received, and that's through doing different things in the military as not in your job, but as an airman in the Air Force. I was NCO of the quarter, Airman of the quarter several times, and I won numerous awards for my artwork and stuff as well.
Oh, so you're an artist?
Yes, I'm an artist.
So you appreciate what we're doing here?
Oh yes, I very much appreciate what you guys are doing.
Are there any specific mementos that you have that you would like incorporated into the art pieces that we're making?
I brought some with. I brought some mementos, awards that I have. I don't have photographs of airplanes I worked on. I figure you guys can probably download those.
Did you ever keep a personal diary?
No, never kept a personal diary.
Just all in here?
Yes.
So did you see any combat?
No, never saw any combat at all.
How did you stay in touch with your family while you were in Germany?
Through writing. That's the only way to stay in touch. We didn't have cell phones, and computers were mostly for games at the time, like Commodore 64 or Texas Instruments type computer. And so nowadays people can keep in contact through Skype and all of that other stuff.
How did you cope with your loneliness over there?
Well, I had my family, so that didn't help. That didn't promote any loneliness for me. We raised our kids at the time, and any time that we did get lonely, you'd write a letter or you'd make a phone call, which those were pretty expensive to do.
Do you recollect your first thoughts, feelings when your service ended?
I was going to miss it. I mean, first thoughts when you get out were kind of excitement, but yet, you had a lot of questions as in what am I going to do? How am I going to transition over to a civilian world again? But I knew I was going to miss it because it's a different atmosphere.
Would you say that you had to readjust once you got back, like from the conditions that were over there to here?
Yes, you had to readjust definitely because in the military it's more of a structured life. And when you get out of the military, there is no structure. You deal with different types of people with different attitudes, and they don't cope with as well as a military person copes. And so you've got to learn to readjust your skills to where you don't get in problems and fights. You readjust to go to work so that you can work for, certain people. You might have a boss that you don't like, but you still have to work. And it's just a different, I guess, atmosphere that you have to change your whole belief schemes in.
Did that impact your personality and the way you perceive things after your service ended?
Oh no, my personality stayed the same.
Okay. Besides family, was there anything that you missed back home, like a food or doing things?
Well, you miss greasy spoons as a restaurants. At the time, we had Al's Diner, and it was a custard stand on Layton Avenue, and you miss their hamburgers. Then there's other things over there that were better than here, as in pizza. They had different types of food that you experience. As long as you experienced what they had, it changed your outlook on how they live. Some people were over there and they'd be pro-American and they would stick with their cheeseburger, fries, things of that nature, instead of going out on a whim and saying, hey, let's try some of this pork loin that they have, that they serve up in a certain way. And you miss just, other than the food, you miss the families, of course, especially during the holidays.
Would you say that you were more open-minded than some of the people in your unit through your time?
As far as being open-minded more than others, it varies. Some people, yes. I was open-minded more than some, but though they were few and far between. For the most part, everybody was, the place we were stationed at was on a German base, and we lived on the German economy, and so you had to blend in with the public, and that's one thing that they could pick you out as being an American. And some people hated Americans, others, they embraced Americans. We were there long after World War II, and some of the people still recalled World War II. And they would cry and they would say, thank you for your father giving my father a chocolate bar and stuff like that, even though my father didn't even serve in World War II. And he served in Korea, but you had people in there that lived shameful lives, and they embraced the military, the American military, very well.
You were talking about people being moved to tears. Did anything ever move you to that point, or something that...
Seeing my first person that came up to me and said thank you, that made me well up, because just thinking of what the chaos that they must have lived at the time, during the war, and the trial and tribulations that they faced.
Would you say that you bonded greatly with the people within your unit?
Yes, very greatly as in bonding with them.
Did your units have any or many casualties?
Well, we didn't have any casualties. We did have, during Desert Storm, we did have a pilot who, he was on the ground at the time, working with an Army unit. He got shot in the leg. But as far as anybody else, we weren't in harm's way.
Could you describe the conditions you lived in?
Well, that's just, I lived in an apartment in Germany. I never lived in a tent. Always a nice apartment of, buildings of some sort. And never got to experience Tent City.
So you would say you had more freedom on that front, I would say?
Yes, I had very much more freedom.
Did you particularly feel like that you missed out on Tent City?
No. I don't feel I missed out on Tent City, no. I mean, it's, when we did our war games in Germany during the time that we had Desert Storm going on, we had where the military units, army units were in a soccer field across the street from us, and they were in Tent City. And our airplanes would come and bomb them, simulating a bomb run. And I would stand on my balcony with a cup of coffee, drinking it, watching this go on, because I didn't work till later on that day. And it was excitement to see that, because then you saw them in action. My son served in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and he got to experience the airplanes I worked on and see them in action. So it kind of, that put a lump in my chest as well.
That's really nice. What was one of the hardest experiences that you had?
Oh boy, hardest experience, it's hard to say. Learning how to work on the airplanes and have confidence in things I did. That would probably be about the hardest.
So, do you believe your time within your service, it strengthened your character, would you say?
Yes, I would think everything that I did, where I gained confidence and self-assurance and stuff like that, I think my experience in the military made that what it is today.
Your mementos, can you show them to me and tell me some feelings you have associated with them?
Sure. This is the most prideful thing. This is called the Schützenauer Award. I got this for firing different German weapons, which in the Air Force, you don't get to shoot other people's weapons. And when we were in Germany on the German base, they allowed us to go and participate. I was 1 point away from a gold medal, so I got the silver. That's about the most proud one I have. These are the other medals I have, the commendation and that. I have those, and then as well as my maintenance badge, which I'm very proud of. It's supposed to have a star above it, but I didn't have that one. So, and then I have my plaques from some of the different bases I was at, the different units assigned to. For like Airman of the Quarter, NCO of the Quarter, and stuff of that nature. And that's kind of neat when you get those, because then they give you incentive flights. So I got to fly on an airplane and operate it like a pilot does. So other than that, that's all I brought today.
Really awesome. Is there anyone that you look up to while you were serving, or you just afterwards?
Yes, there was people I looked up to. One individual was Master Sergeant Buzzy McKinstry. He was at my first base that I was assigned to after basic training in school, and he molded me into the crew chief that I became, and that's what we were called, was crew chiefs. And I looked up to him very much, and we became friends more than comrades, as in working skills, through the working force, where he outranked me, but we became friends through that.
Do you guys still keep in touch?
Yes, we do.
Would you say you were more of a leader, or were you kind of more like submissive in the sense?
Well, in the beginning, I wasn't a leader. Going through your low rank, of course, so you were more like just a worker. And then as I gained rank, I became a leader. And you go through schools to become a leader. And you end up where you have several people under you, so you become like a boss in the civilian world, or a foreman. And you go out to do a job, you have people that come with you, and they do the work while you oversee it. But you're responsible for their work.
Okay. So what's your rank?
My rank at the time I got out was a E5 staff sergeant.
Could you expand on what that means?
Well, you start out as an E1 Airman Basic, and then you go through the ranks that way, and then E5 was about middle of the road at the time. E9 is the highest rank that you can achieve as an enlisted person. Officer ranks were like 01 through 09. And so mine, being a staff sergeant, was I was a boss, a supervisor.
Do you hold pride with that?
Oh yes, a lot of pride with that, because you work your butt off to get that. You have to learn a lot of stuff in the books, and you put a lot of effort into it.
Any event that you remember as being a higher up with lower ranks, like helping them out, overseeing them?
Events that way were higher up with a lower rank. I can't recall anything. As far as let's see. Now I'm drawing a blank. No, I can't recall anything like that right now.
Okay. Oh, how did you entertain yourself?
I do my artwork. That keeps me going. I used to do a lot of reading. I got my grandkids, so I entertain myself mostly with my grandkids and my wife, who works here.
What would you say while you were in your service in Germany, did you work on your art there?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I did art projects, pieces of art for some people that were leaving to go to another base or retiring. I did pieces for individuals that were diagnosed with a terminal illness, and just off the wall stuff, like just doing stuff to keep myself busy.
Would you say there's any specific subject matter pertaining to your service, or?
Most of the time it was of airplanes. Once I did a fruit bowl for an individual. He wanted an oil painting of a fruit bowl, and so I did that. And another one wanted the strangest one I've ever done was a sea turtle shell. I painted a sailing ship on a sea turtle shell, and that was for my friend Buzzy McKinstry, and he still has it to this day. And that was back 1984, 85, somewhere in there.
Oh, do you have any photographs from the time, or?
No, I didn't bring any photographs with. I didn't. I've got some on I got 2 of them on my phone, and but I couldn't find the other ones, so I didn't bring any with.
Do you have any reunions with your fellow veterans?
They have a reunion every other year for one, but my wife and I don't have the time to where we can go to where that is. It changes venues, and that's from Germany. They do have a reunion from our first base that we were assigned to, where they go down to Georgia and they meet at another individual's house that I know, and they have that reunion, but we didn't go to it this year. We just found out about it, as a matter of fact, this year.
So how do you feel about life now and just in general?
Well, I still miss the military. You know, when my son was in it, I lived again through him. And but other than that, I mean, I look at things through a different eye. I see a lot of good in people, and I always look for the good in everybody. And that's something that the military has taught me. I'm retired now, so I don't have to get up at bright and early to go to work. And that's another thing that makes you miss it a lot more too, is that you just miss the hours that you worked, and you remember them every day.
So you miss the structure?
Oh yes, I miss the structure very much so.
Is there anything that your son has done that you're particularly prideful for?
Joining the military, he joined the Army, and he went over to fight in Afghanistan, and I was very proud of him for that.
Does he have any medals? Or?
He has a lot of memories, as I do. Medal-wise, I don't know which ones he has. He was supposed to get a Purple Heart, but he didn't want it. And but I know he lost a couple friends, and it eats at him every now and then. He remembers them in his own way. He made a little plaque in a garden out of concrete that represents the two people that his unit lost. And but he's got some good memories about being over there as well.
Do you have any comrades that you see struggle with their time that they had over there, or?
I don't struggle with anything. I know he has PTSD, and so he struggles with the when it comes up on the anniversary of the two people that were killed. He struggles on that day a little bit. But he's got a dog that helps bring him comfort, and now he's got his family, so he's got some comforting skills.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me?
Not at this time. I mean, if I was to tell you anything, I'd say join the military. It's a great time. It really is. Even during war, it's still a great time. You meet a lot of people that you'll never forget.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.